Hey everybody, this is PD from the Spinner Rack, and today I'm doing a video on the Fighting American. Now, there seemed to be online some confusion about the Fighting American. Just imagine that he's a long line of patriotic heroes and or what do you say, like Captain America clones, even though the Shield was, I think before Captain America? I'm not sure, but I believe the Shield was before Captain America, but Captain America was the one that kind of hit it big, right? So, just to give you, and I should go to the Kirby book, right? The Kirby book. Yeah, let's do that. So we have an issue of the Fighting American here, right? So we're just going to go to the Kirby book, right? If we can quickly go through this book here, and now all of my post-it notes don't relate to this, but we have this American hero, comic book hero, Captain America, right? We have this classic cat punching Hitler. We have young Bucky there. So this, even though I think Batman and Robin was already out, so they're following the dynamic of Batman and Robin. But this would also be a mainstay with Simon and Kirby, right? So we have the Red Skull here. So this is the early Simon and Kirby. And then they would do this would be their secondary character, Sandman and Sandy, their revamped version of it. And here's a black and white Fighting American here, right? Versus the Handsome Devils, the League of Handsome Devils. I always imagine the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen got its name for the League of Handsome Devils. And this is the art correction. I have an edition here where they kind of put the art back, right? So to give you an idea about the Fighting American, I'm just going to give you some visuals to see the art back in the day from Kirby, with I think Simon inking it. This is great. I forgot. I don't know why I was thinking I was going to give this book back. This has a whole issue of the Fighting American in here, right? And it goes into that. Because Kirby would revisit Captain America with Stan Lee in the 60s, right? But the Fighting American was after romance and comics were struggling. Simon and Kirby were trying to find their next thing, and they had Stuntman. I think that was the Stuntman happened before before romance, and that was a comic that didn't kind of work out, but it's in this volume here, right? And so at some point they decided to do the Fighting American, and this is a thing from Marvel that they did in the late 90s while Simon and Kirby was still alive. They got an introduction from Simon and Kirby, right? And this printing is a little rough, but let's see, both of them. Basically, they wound up realized they didn't have a hit on their hand with the Fighting American, even though It was a Captain America type character fighting communists. It didn't make a hit immediately, so a little while after, they decided to kind of spoof superheroes and spoof the Reds. Instead of having it a serious book, they would have the double header. They had, do they have any? This one, I think, in this issue here, the Handsome Devils. You see the color version, and they restored it back to the way it was. And then we have Poison Ivy right here. So it gets towards a sillier thing where they're kind of spoofing superheroes, and really more so spoofing the Soviets and all of the Americans' enemies, since the Fighting American himself was pretty much the straight man in the book. Oh, here we go. Versus Super Keflavich, right? To be the Soviet Superman of the hero, and he has a scent to him, right? So, and then Simon Curry would do the Shield, and that wouldn't work out. So I just wanted to bring, so as time went on, Captain America himself became nomad in the 70s because he was disillusioned. And in the 80s, we had American Flag, which was kind of a corporate type of American hero. And then in the late 80s, we had Martha Washington. We had a couple of other runs. Cap would be disillusioned again. And at some point in the 90s, Heroes Reborn would happen. And when Heroes Reborn happened, Rob Liefeld was given Captain America. Now, obviously the original Cap sold 1 million, and the new series didn't sell that much. And at periods, Cap had struggled in the 50s. So he did have a book that was selling pretty decently, but I think Marvel kind of overspent, and they decided to kind of push Liefeld out and give it all to Jim Lee. Now, Rob Liefeld planned on doing a whole year on Captain America. His plan was to show some of the other hot talent that was with him, like artists like Stephen Platt, himself on Cap, and McGuinness. And I looked through my collection, and as of right now, I could only find this issue, right? Now, keep in mind, Rob Liefeld did not plan on doing the Fighting American, right? Rob Liefeld planned on doing Agent America. And Agent America was his version of Captain America. So basically, since, just like Supreme, since Marvel had kind of pushed him out, his plan was just to do a duplicate of Captain America. But the character seemed very similar to the Fighting American. It had kind of the mask like the Fighting American, had the star and these stripes coming from through the star, right? There's some other differences in the shield I think Rob Liefeld brings up, but I'm guessing Marvel was going to sue, but then Joe Simon sued. And Joe Simon sued, and then through the suit, he gave an option to say, hey, if you just license the Fighting American, I will remove the suit. And Rob said yes, and we got I think we got a total of 8 issues of The Fighting American. We got 2 issues of Rob and Stephen Platt doing The Fighting American, right? Which were, I guess, kind of leftover Cap issues, and I want to tell you why, because they had a character who was a female character who was a cyborg, right? We had, I think, a character like the Hulk that's in it. Then the next miniseries was The Rules of the Game. And this would bring in a lot of the Fighting Americans villains with Ed McGuinness doing artwork, right? So, and this is what I'll show you an issue. I think you get to see one of them, right? But they don't play up the spoof part. And what else do I gotta say? I haven't even gotten, I'm about 10 minutes into this, and I'm not even into the issue yet, right? But this one deals with the old villains and the connection, which is kind of like a big guy and Rusty the Boy Robot, or Cap's original thing in Marvel where he was kind of iffy on having a sidekick, right? Because Bucky had died, right? And Speed Boy is gone for some reason. And then the last one, I think, is written by Jim Starlin. And that kind of has a Winter Soldier type of thing. Now, where you had the cynicism of Americans struggling with their patriotism in The Fighting American that Simon and Kirby did, some of the cynicism that's in the American Flag by Howard Chaykin, and the cynicism that we get in Martha Washington. This would be straightforward Americana propaganda, right? This was him fighting in stars, like, you know, almost an eagle headdress and stars and stripes. Just a celebration of that. So it wasn't, one thing that made me sad while I was reading it as a kid, or not a kid, I guess I was in my 20s at this point, is that they exercise to take all the stuff that was in, the in what Rob Liefeld was planning. We lost all of the bits that would be, we lost a lot of bits that was in The Fighting American by Simon and Kirby. It's almost as if they kind of tossed out the fact that his hair color is the same hair color as Cap when it wasn't. The fact that he had a female Bucky, right? But at the same time, we see he's fighting Spice, right? And Spice is going to shoots at him. And we just get this. And if you see the other issues, I think I'm going to try to have some visuals so you can see it. You just get a nice sort of romp. And I'm a big fan of Ed McGuinness. I'm not a fan of Stephen Platt, but his stuff was at least playing to, it was like Image's Americana, and the only way Image could do it, right? And this is no different than that too either, right? So we get this nice shot of this great Eric McGuinness art, right? I said the whole fight, the issue before, that he didn't want a partner, and now he has to shut down this robot, right? And realize it's a machine. does all those things to take her out, and then she still got an ace up the sleeve. She's able to fight back. So yeah, if you're out there and you want, if you want to check this out, I recommend it. I actually recommend it because almost like Supreme, even though story-wise there's not much story to it, it's just sort of the closest. This is more like what Frank Miller was trying to do with his Holy Terror, trying to have an American type of thing. You can't really get around doing a costume and having a costume hero, right, adorned in the flag. So this is one of the things where Spice gets him. You can see the blonde eyebrows, right? And the original Fighting American had brown hair, right? Then we get a nice subplot sort of here. We get to see the government seeing what she's doing, right? And this we realize is the Fighting American's daughter. So they had big plans for the Fighting American, right? They had a lot of plans for the Fighting American, which I don't think got seen after issue 3 of the, I guess it'd be 3rd miniseries, right? And see, even his real name is Flag, right? That goes with the, so we have the Trotsky, right? Hotsky Trotsky. And this is it's kind of also kind of like 80s Marvel with less story, right? And he winds up killing Hotsky Trotsky, right? Runs in Invisible Irving. Right, so we get to see the old villains kind of up to date and a little bit cooler. So the Invisible Irving was able to, and regretfully, we've wasted all of these cool villains, right? We've wasted them, so I'm not really for that. And I guess what, round robin. So we got to see in this series a lot of the old villains, even though they became just cannon fodder. But I still kind of say you should go and check this out. Actually, you should go check out Martha Washington first and American Flag first. And then if you're all for some high American 90s drama, you got it in the Fighting American by Rob Liefeld and Awesome Entertainment. And to give you another thing, we have this book called SWAT, which is from Elliot S. Maggin and Dan Fraga, right? So we get this wacky sort of thing, and it'd be interesting to see these two were able to work together for, well, it's actually Dan Fraga's plots and Elliot Maggin doing the script, right? So we get, it's like a quintessential 90s sort of thing. Even the Talking Heads thing is a splash page you could sell, right? So you got a lot of characters here, some action, a little bit, tiny bit of action here. Can't tell where they're coming from, but All right, so there we go. Got a little bit extra here. Let's see what's here. Did they tell you what else is here? The Platinum Edition, Coven. Nice. Fighting. Those are the first 2 issues of Fighting American. And Rules. Which one is this? That's Ed McGuinness. He had Rejects, Youngblood, which I did a review for. Didn't do Kaboom, but he's a great animator. And I guess that's about it. Check out the Fighting American. I do feel that Liefeld and Loeb's Fighting American exercised everything that was really great that was in the original. But at the same time, I think what Miller was going for in Holy Terror, we kind of got it like, well, I guess what it should have been if you want to have a propaganda type book. We have a character who's just totally right, totally doing what he's supposed to do, and at the same time, you know, it's devoid of story, but it's good, bulky muscle thing. So if you have a 90s propaganda action something or another, this is the quintessential book. Like, you can't really beat it with, you got, I think the other artists a little stronger than Rob, Platt and Ed McGuinness, but at the same time, Rob kind of utilizes some of some stuff we've seen before, some new stuff, so we get this action-packed type of thing. And I guess that's about it. Spinner Rack is out.